Hey guys, Andrew from Cheap Jokes here. Tonight we have a very special live Star Wars stream following on from last night's Lego Masters Star Wars episode, which was super exciting. Obviously, we had Trent, who was the star of the show. So he is Australia's biggest geek, a massive toy collector, and you may know him from the team that is Trent and Josh. He plays the role of Trent. Welcome.
Hello. Thank you very much.
No worries.
Very good.
You excited to talk about Star Wars all night?
Oh, man, I could talk about Star Wars every day, every night, so I'm more than happy to be here.
Excellent. And we've got another fellow geek joining us tonight, another massive Star Wars fan, half of the duo that is Tim and Danny. It's Tim.
Hey.
How
Hi.
you doing, man?
Yeah, I'm doing all right.
How are you recovering after last night's episode?
Yeah, no, I mean, it went a lot better than I thought, because I thought there was going to be a lot more of us having a little bit of a bicker about Star Wars. But no, I'm pretty pleased with how that all came about. And it was so good to actually watch it back and just not be so caught up in what you're doing and actually watch everybody else have fun too. Especially, Trent, who is there on my screen.
And distracting you while you're actually building. I just want to get a quick question out of the way from Joshua Batten, asking if we're live. Yes, we are, Joshua. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to put that on screen. So good day, Josh. How you going? And our final member of tonight's live stream, just to bring a little bit of balance to the force, someone who isn't a Star Wars fan. I don't think they've ever seen a Star Wars film, but can read a hell of a tea leaf. It is Annie. How are you going, Annie?
Thank you. Hello.
It's good
I'm
intro,
still confused as to why I'm here, but hopefully. Thank you. Yeah.
I told you we needed to balance the force.
Yeah. All I know is the Simpsons reference of use the forks.
I guess that works. Yeah, good one. I think, well, I know most of my Star Wars references from Family Guy, so I don't know if that's anything to go by. How does that make you feel, Trent and Tim?
Danny stuck her head in.
Hey, it's Danny.
Hi.
Oh,
Nice touch.
Danny did believe. I thought you were watching
That is
and you meant not to be here.
Just taking care of the kids so I can be on the stream. So, yeah.
All right. Well, let's start off with a bit of an easy question. Annie, we'll start with you. Favorite Star Wars movie? She left. That's how scary it was as a question.
Frozen in carbonite.
She's frozen in carbonite. I get the reference. All right. How about Trent? So I asked you this in last night's episode, but favorite Star Wars movie?
Well, you say that it's an easy question. I contend that it's actually a very difficult question.
I have never seen a Star Wars movie.
There we go.
Annie, kick in.
Annie trying to get her part in the stream.
Mm.
All right, so
A little bit of a delay.
we'll continue with Trent there. So
Yeah. So my favorite is actually Return of the Jedi, and I know that might be controversial, but I think it wraps up the original trilogy perfectly. It's got some epic action sequences and that ultimate moment of redemption at the end, which I think is just one of cinema's great moments when Anakin returns to the light side. Darth Vader basically becomes good again, and that for me pulls at the heartstrings every time.
okay, Tim, do you concur?
Oh no, I completely agree with that. Like, of course, it was original trilogy, and then you've got the prequels, and then you've got the newer trilogy. It's always that third film that is the strongest part of the story, and it's how well you do that resolution or how well you lead on into the next one that is really the most powerful Star Wars films. For me personally, I really like Revenge of the Sith, which is the end of the prequels, because of how much happened. I was watching that as a kid, right? And that was mind-blowing. Like, you sort of knew what was coming. You knew kind of what to expect. But, like, Order 66, you're like, here's the gut punch. This is the transition from the prequels to the original trilogy. And it was just that, like, oh my god, this is actually happening. This is what's going on. And like the duel between Anakin and Obi-Wan on Mustafar, it was just mind blowing to me. So I just loved every part about that film. So I do like the prequels a little bit more than the original trilogy, but it's like that, each one of the prequels and the original trilogy and the new trilogy, they all have their own little like universes. I really like the prequel universe, and watching that die was like this really powerful plot point for me as a kid. So that's why I love that one.
All right. So they're the ones that sort of came out early 2000s. I remember those coming out when I was in high school. And it was funny. I watched them a couple of months ago. And I know at the time they look good, but now looking at the special effects, they're actually so bad. The 70s, it makes you appreciate the ones from the 70s so much more.
Mm. Like, of course, like there's a lot of CGI and stuff that goes into all those sorts of films, and like especially looking back at the Phantom Menace, you're like, that's some really crazy stuff there. But like for what they were working with, it's fantastic, and it's just that thing that sort of launches you on. You're like, there's this weird alien creature, and rather than do like the Doctor Who thing where it's like green bubble wrap on the face and like that's an alien, they've actually CGI'd this whole different species in. It really just pulled you into the world heaps quickly.
And where are you at on Jar Jar?
I have my reservation. Like every single trilogy has some sort of character in there that you're just like, yeah. And look, the prequel, I won't debate. The Padme and Anakin thing is a bit cringy. Jar Jar is a bit controversial, but Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan Kenobi is like
beautiful.
Man crush. Like he's so good.
And Annie, does any of this make sense to you?
I am learning so much. I have no idea what you're talking about. But it's definitely interesting. There's a lot of love.
Is your husband a Star Wars fan, Annie?
No.
No, so no one in the family?
No, he's a scientist. I can tell you anything about the Tour de France, but I can't tell you. No.
That's okay. Now, did you want to discuss everyone's builds from last night?
Yes.
Want to get into that? All right. Let me get a couple on the screen for us here. So we've got a bit of a visual. Ooh, how's that for an angle? So let me just take this banner off here so I'm not hiding my face. I've just got to figure out how to do it. Oh, no, I've clicked the wrong button. It's going well. There we go. All right, cool. So we've got Andrew and Damian's one first. So Trent, would you like to talk us through this?
Yeah, look, I love it. It's fascinating, the picture you've got up here, Andrew. It looks very white and red, and my recollection of the actual model is it's more greys and maroons, very much in the color scheme of the Slave One, Boba Fett's vehicle from Empire Strikes Back. I love this vehicle so much. It's a meshing between the Sandcrawler and the Slave One, and I think they called it the Slave Fortress. There is so much going on in terms of the angles that these guys are working with. Originally, there's a little knob on the top there between those two jetpacks, and when you turn that knob, those engine thrusters do move. But eventually, when they posed it with those engines facing down, they didn't showcase that movement. But the fact that this opens up and is modular, the fact they got all those crazy angles, and the fact that they met the aesthetic on the design brief makes, for me, this one a really worthy winner of the challenge. And I think just to add to it, having Jabba the Hutt there accepting the bounty and paying the big dollars is just a perfect nod to the Star Wars universe.
Yeah, it is quite fantastic. You reckon they put the jets facing this way just to help balance it? It looks like it could have got quite heavy, I guess, as a build.
Yeah, I think so. And I think if you watch the episode back carefully, you'll notice that Damian wasn't too happy with Andrew's color choice, but Andrew just told him to suck it up. And I think with the time they had left, they did, and they got the win. So, yeah, well done, guys.
Did well. Tim, try to...
Yeah, like the one thing that these guys are really good at doing is like, you can see there's lots of those crazy angles that they've got. They did it on their airship. They've done it on here as well, where they've actually got like the ball joints or the mixel joints and done that to do all the paneling on the walls. So it gives that sort of very rustic feel. You've got the greebling that's on there as well. And like Trent said, it looks like an armored sandcrawler, but it's flying as well. Like, I like with building Star Wars, it's very hard to try and avoid like overlapping, but you also need to make it look like it belongs. And this is like grabbing little bits from all these other things and then combining it together. Like I think there's another bounty hunter ship that uses that same sort of wing design that comes up in like the Clone Wars. I think it's called like a T-55 something. I don't remember. But like I can see little bits of all these different Star Wars ships that then come together to make that, and it's awesome. And I love that they like have got the jets coming out and like giving that sort of impact design on the ground as well. And they didn't just stop there. They also built a little bit of the terrain. You can see the antennas off where Jabba the Hutt is. And it wasn't really conveyed on the show, but you've got both the you've got the bounty hunter up the front, which is the Mandalorian from the Mandalorian series. But I believe it was Jar Jar Binks is the prisoner that they're presenting towards Jabba the Hutt as a bounty. Way up the front. You can see in between. So you've got the Rebel and you've got the Empire, and then just in between them, Jar Jar Binks is there. So it was this like unifying of like both the Republic and the Empire do not like Jar Jar, so Jar Jar is being handed over. So they grabbed all of those unique minifigures in the pit, and they're just like, everybody is here to watch this guy get handed over, and who knows what's going to happen to him.
Who's this little red fellow in here?
I believe. Oh, I need to get a closer look. Actually,
let me see if I can get in.
Oh, that's one of the bounty hunters from the new trilogy, I'm pretty sure. Or is that a droid?
I reckon that's Force Awakens, where they're on the Falcon and they have that battle between the two opposing forces trying to get Han Solo. They're from one of the forces that's been taken.
Yeah, isn't it the Rathtar, the creature that they let out or something?
Correct. It's in that
That's
scene.
it. Yeah, those guys.
Nice. All right, Annie, what does it look like to you?
It looks like an awesome train to me.
An awesome train?
Yeah, a train. It looks like a spaceship, but I've never seen the Star Wars because I lived the Star Wars. In seeing that character there, that one.
Oh yeah, the green guy. I'll go on layman for you.
I'm scared by those characters. I don't know what they do. The shot that you've got of the front of the ship, just the angles and everything, it really looks true to Andrew because he's such a good train builder.
Oh yeah.
It's got an element of funky trains in it to me, but I know nothing about Star Wars, so.
Hey Jimmy!
Quick hello to Jimmy from season 1.
Hey Jimmy!
This is the challenge Jimmy would have loved to have taken part in, I'm sure.
He's a massive fan.
Sorry, you go first.
No, I was just going to say, Jimmy's got, I think, a couple of different Star Wars tattoos, including Baby Yoda. So massive Star Wars fan to get ink like that. That's super. And I think Jimmy, if he's not busy building his brilliant wedding anniversary gift from his beautiful wife Maddie, the Black Sea's Barracuda Shipwreck Island. So he's probably tuning in while he's finishing off that build. Yeah,
tune in, have a build. That's the best way to have a build.
Andrew, could you go back to the one with the door with the red guy in there?
The red guy.
There's something I wanted to point out. Yeah, so looking here, you can see just at the base of the door, he's got two different they've got two different colors at the base, like one of those 1x2 with the rounded edges, right? It shows how much like subtle different coloration across the model can give it that real rustic feel. So just right at the bottom of where his legs are, that subtle difference. Yeah, so they do that across the model. It's that very like tiny thing where just a simple color change really brings the rustic feel together. Like I've got mad respect for these guys for pulling that off, but it's those tiny little things. And even like the turrets on the top as well, when they did the hero like shots and everything and they zoomed in on it, the little tiny guns at the top of the actual ship as well have been done really well. So it's these little things that make me love this so much.
Yeah, it's kind of funny when you actually get to stop and have a look at a picture like this as opposed to the quick hero shots on the show. All that extra detail, like even these angles coming in here, upside down from the roof, you've got these roof tiles, just little bits of greebling, not overdoing the greebling, just a little bit.
There's the turrets.
It is insane.
Let's see if we can Oh, there we are. I found a keyboard
Like,
shortcut to zoom in.
It's like it's definitely well deserved, this win. Like, it is insane. I wanted to go over to it and just smuggle it out of the room. Just like, yeah, this is mine.
And just adding in the playability as well. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
what a bonus.
that just
All right.
screams Star Wars to the kids. That's for sure.
Let's jump on to Alex and Jackson's.
This
Yeah,
is so
the
cool.
what was it? The Tempest Imperial Dropship, I believe this one was
Yep.
called.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Who wants to talk us through it?
Well, I can start. This is a
Not me.
design challenge, right? So the brief is really to make something that fits in with the Star Wars universe, and anyone that looks at this ship knows immediately it's Star Wars. It's got obviously elements that are, in terms of almost the shuttle Tidarium wing arc, which is the Imperial shuttle that the rebels go on to the forest moon of Endor in Return of the Jedi. It's got a bit of that flavor, but it also incorporates the TIE fighter design. It's got a bit of the Star Destroyer in terms of that point. It's got a bit of the Imperial TIE fighter in there, and it's got a really strong purpose, which is a troop carrier, which meets that design brief perfectly. So really well executed, and a brilliant diorama with the stormtrooper being choked by Darth Vader, I think, is just put the icing on the cake.
I don't know if I've got a close-up of that we can really make out. I think you got a close-up on the show, but there we are. You can kind of see.
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah, I just want that collection of stormtroopers, to be honest. I'd be happy to walk away with that.
Hamish has got one.
Does he?
Yep.
I thought he had 3 or 4.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he's got the whole set.
I'm pretty sure he walked out with a lot of Brickman's collection on this day. No, this came up as a bit of a fan favorite. Was Jen and Jodi's Ray? What do they call it?
The Ravager.
Ravager.
That's right.
This is my favorite one.
Go on, Annie. You've got this one.
As a noob, this is my favorite one.
As a noob.
I find it fascinating with the colors and the angles that they've created. It's kind of floral. I like it.
So Annie, let's ask you, if you were part of this challenge, what do you think yourself and Runa would have built?
I would have probably been rocking backwards and forwards in a corner somewhere. I think I would have been able to do anything. Hopefully Runa has obviously seen more than me. She's a bit more savvy when it comes to pop culture. But I would have really struggled. I would have just been a runner, I think. And I'm not a runner. Yeah.
You've been going to the BrickPit and back to get lots of white and grey and black pieces. And
I would have been a severe disadvantage for Runa.
Yeah. So what do you feel about the shape of this one, Trent, from Star Wars universe or galaxy?
Yeah, definitely. Oh, look, very, very clever. I think this was a contender for top 2 in my book. That double foil X-Wing shape that they've got is absolutely beautiful. That underneath cockpit where Rey is really super clever. It reminds me a little bit of Boba Fett Slave 1, where it's sort of got that dual purpose in terms of it can be facing upways or it can be facing sideways. I think that's super, super clever. And there's a shot of this that they do from behind, and it is absolutely striking with those double X-Wing foils extended. So I think they lost a few points probably for not extending the diorama all the way. But yeah, really, really strong design. And I think they nailed the story element of Rey being a scavenger. So this one, super build from those girls.
Yeah. What's going on with this guy? Is this Finn hanging around on top?
Finn hanging around on top. Yeah. Look, and it's probably one of those things that they might have not needed to have on the model, because Finn and Rey, I guess, do hang out. Bit weird that someone's just surfing on the top of the vehicle like that. But, I think they were trying to add an element of fun to the story. So it's just one of those things whether Brickman liked it or not.
Yeah, right. Risky move. But he didn't get a mention on the show, though, so I guess it was not too bad.
Yeah, so you go first, and then I'll
No, you go, Tim. You go.
Yeah. So for me, the vibe that I get from this one is like sort of space piratey, and I love that. Like a lot of the old sort of films, like Titan AE and some of the like Treasure Planet, that sort of stuff, where they've like sort of got those sails that stick out to the side. I know that they're there as wings, but like that body shape that's on their makes it feel like it's really scavengery because of the fact pirates usually ransack things and try and take parts and everything like that. And it's probably not the vibe that they were going for, but you can see where like Jen's passion for pirates sort of came through to the build a little bit. And that like Trent was saying, the spin around upside down feature of it is extra cool, but like it's just that curved body that's almost like a pirate ship. Makes me love it a lot. And I completely agree with Trent. This was a top 2 contender for me. This was like I'll say it, like this is Jen and Jodi's like best work in my books because it is 100% them. It's 100% fun. And even if you look across the model as well, they've taken the spring-loaded shooters and stuck it to the wings. They've used the stud shooters on the model. There's lots of bits of playability there. They've done the greebling as well. And it's just like, it looks like it's come straight from a kid's imagination. And that's exactly what this challenge was for a lot of people, including, you know, Trent, where it's just like set back into that childlike state. Like you can even see there's droid heads and stuff on there. There's bucket handles. There's other blaster pistols. Like it's all those little subtle things. But there's even a clockwork handle too. But it's just that shape of the body for me that makes me really enjoy this.
Yeah, it's amazing when you look at it with this, you know, closer detail or things you're noticing. Just the, you know, paintbrush, the robot clock screw thing. What do you call it?
Thing.
Well, if I had Jodi running to the BrickPit for me, I would have spent half my time describing to him what the pieces were I wanted.
I think Jodi was very upset. Oh, like I wouldn't say upset. Once he found out there was a Star Wars challenge, he was like, "Why did they not just hold on to me for that moment? Because I wanted to be there."
Yeah, you must use him for this episode. All right, should we check out the next one? Oh, there we are. There's Finn again, floating around on top, got his little gun going on. Oh, here we go.
Ah, no. No.
No. Annie, what does this look like to you?
This looks really, really scary.
Thank you.
Like, if you saw that on the wall in your house, you'd call someone else to come and get it.
I imagine it will destroy everything in its path.
Yeah.
So I would not want to be flying anywhere near that.
So
not
Tim
that it's
knows
flying
this,
because
Tim knows this model. Sorry, I kept interrupting you there. Tim knows this model quite well. So Trent, you want to talk me through it?
Look, design-wise, and I know Tim will probably be kicking himself for how he attached those wings and some of the technic elements, but just forgive that for the moment. The design here is really strong and striking, and I think the story here is super clear. You've got a part in the Jedi history where essentially Order 66 has been executed. The Jedi are now the enemy, and Palpatine's forces are wiping them out. And what they had to do was round up all those last Jedi, and that's what Tim and Danny built into this model. This is really that for that purpose. Go in, take out the last of the Jedi, put them in the cell for the interrogation. It's a striking design. Those 4 foils are genius on this. They look so beautiful. They're the right shape, right? They're a perfect sort of triangle shape. They jut out. They're super imposing. And the color choice on this is really perfect. Like Annie said, it's dark, it's intimidating, and you don't want to be anywhere near it. Strikes fear into the heart of anyone in the galaxy. You know, Tim, if he had his time again, would like to do a stand for this, you know, get away from the cinder blocks. But that's just the challenge that comes with limited time on these builds. And as Brickman said, this was the biggest model last night. So when you push yourself and you go big and you go intimidating, you do run into those potential challenges. So I think Tim and Danny did a fantastic job on this. I think it's striking. It fits the design brief. And if they just had another hour to get to tweak those elements, this would have been an absolute contender as well.
Yeah, it is very cool. Was it inspired by anything, Tim? Like, obviously a big Star Wars fan. What did you draw your...
So, like, the biggest thing that we were drawn to was obviously that circle shape in the center. with Danny not being very familiar with Star Wars, I basically said, make the cockpit. And she came up with this really cool idea of having two people either side, and then there's actually a throne in the center as well. I'm like, you know what? Let's make this bigger than it normally is. I put a fair bit of effort getting that shape there at the front to really try and get that iconic, that circle shape at the front. For it, but there was a bit of inspiration from a few different TIE fighters, and unfortunately when we got right towards the end, I started having so many of the problems with the Technic that when it came to like the last, I think it was like 20 minutes, I all of a sudden had Technic beams coming off the sides that were dead exposed, so we basically had to cover it up. And it wasn't until we got to judging that he's like, this looks like a TIE Interceptor. I'm like, oh my god, it does! No! It looks way too close to source material. Because the original plan was where you've got those panels on the side that connect the two prongs on each side. There was actually going to be these big, thanks, Danny. There was actually going to be these big cannons on the side. Because the idea was this ship is black. You can't see it in a space battle. Like you're outside, up in space fighting, and then you've just got something that's so hard to visually track. Then as soon as it comes down into atmosphere, you can see it straight away, and it's supposed to strike with fear. Then what happens is it bombards the Earth as it comes down. As the back opens, speeder bike juts out the back, and then by the time the smoke clears, the Jedi's been caught, the ship's coming back, picks them up, and by the time they get a retaliation and they chase it back out of atmosphere, it's already hard to see and it's gone. It's just in, strike, grab, and go. But unfortunately, we just were running out of that time trying to get those like cannons on the side.
Yeah, right. And I guess making the stand was kind of a less important detail to the whole build as well. Like you want to display it, but save that till last. Cinder blocks are fine.
Like we were literally just trying to push the fact that we do not want to go into this competition and walk out of it going, we had a build we didn't finish. It's not done to the extent that we'd like, but we want to make sure that we've done every single build to the point where we can at least say it is finished. So, and look, as far as the competition's gone, if you could say this is one of our weaker builds.
Just making sure Annie's away.
Make sure she's away. Yeah, like it is. As far as the competition goes, it is one of our weaker builds, but we're still really proud of it. Like Empire, in the grand scheme of things, was probably not the best pick for as Danny, who's not familiar with Star Wars, because as soon as we got Empire, I'm like, all right, we have to make original trilogy because it's got a very iconic and distinct look. And Danny's strength comes from like what we like to call whimsy. So that's where you add color and try and add a lot of character to things. And unfortunately, it's just black and dark. So like if we picked light side, we probably would have done something from the Clone Wars era with the Republic, because it's white, there's bits of green, red. With the Clone Wars, every single clone armada customized what their ships look like, so you could go for a very distinct feel. And if we got the gray, bounty hunter ships don't have much source room material, but that doesn't mean that you can really you're really stuck to having to do one or two things. You could really make it so many different other things. But when it came to Empire, it's a very distinct look. And it unfortunately not only took Danny out of her comfort zone as far as, design-wise, but also took her biggest strength away as well. I'm like, so, I mean, I'm still very proud with how it came out. Thanks, Danny. She's sassing me through the computer. It's great.
Well, we've got a guest joining us in a moment, but before we do, we've got a couple of questions in the chat for Trent. So,
go for it.
First one, Trent, have you been watching Clone Wars Season 7?
I haven't yet, and I do want to catch it because this is the final season that is now on Disney Plus. But I do need to catch up on a few of the older episodes of Clone Wars before I can watch Season 7. And I do need to get a job so I can afford my Disney Plus once again. So yeah, when all those things line up, I'll be watching it.
It's so good.
Yeah, I've seen little hints. Yeah.
And then we've got a question from Brickmania here. Can you please ask Trent what his rarest toy is? One of my friends has Laser Blaster Boba Fett. That makes sense to you?
I don't know what. No, I don't know what Laser Blaster Boba Fett is, but I do know what rocket firing Boba Fett is. And what happened? I'll tell you a little story here about rocket firing Boba Fett. They made when you would buy a Star Wars toy back in the day, there'd be a little clip and collect, and basically you send in 4 tokens, and Kenner, who was making Star Wars figures at the time, would send you a rocket-firing Boba Fett. So all the kids were waiting in their mailboxes for rocket-firing Boba Fett to come. When they actually went and did rocket-firing Boba Fett, they couldn't get the rocket mechanism to work. And I think just prior to that, there'd been a kid that did something bad with one of these rocket-firing features. So they had to scrap the feature. And so the rocket was just glued, essentially, in, and there was no launching feature. But a few of these prototype rocket-firing Boba Fetts made their way to a store in just near the Kenner factory that did toys and trading cards and so forth. And a couple of them then made it out into the market. So I think, rocket firing Boba Fett would go for upward of 25 grand for a loose rocket firing Boba Fett. Now I do actually have a rocket firing Boba Fett, not an original, but a reproduction version. I picked it up, off the shelf one day, and that might be worth like $100. So I've got one, but I don't really have the real thing. In terms of rare items, I'll just tilt my screen slightly back to this blue castle you see there. That's one part of a 3-tower set called Eternia that came out in 1986 in the Masters of the Universe toy line. 3 towers joined by a monorail, and you could get 3 vehicles that would go on the monorail, and the monorail had various features that you'd knock something off and a jail door would close, or a trap door would open in the vehicle and a figure would fall out. Tons of play features, retailed back in 1986 for $200 Australian. So you can just imagine the cost of that. Today, you're probably looking around $2 grand to get one of those. It's got about 100 different parts to it, so just super hard to put together. So that's probably one of my rarer items.
Yeah, cool. And a quick question for Tim. One quick question before we introduce our special guest. Has Danny watched any Star Wars films?
So Danny has watched Star Wars films. She's just not very familiar with them, in the sake that we haven't actually sat down and watched Star Wars together in quite a long time. So it's sort of like scattered remembering bits and pieces from certain films and stuff like that. And it's usually the most information she takes about Star Wars films are when I sit there and actually talk about the scenes. Oh, here she is.
Yes. Okay. So I wanted to answer this. Is that okay?
Yeah, go for it.
I have in fact watched all the original movies. It was like in high school, so it was 10 years ago. And I watched them more than once, but I don't remember a damn thing from any of them. And most of my knowledge comes from the parodies that like Family Guy's done, Simpsons and all that. So
Phineas and Ferb.
yeah, Phineas and Ferb.
That's okay. Same to me.
Yeah, so everything I remember is not actually from the movies anymore. It's from all the parodies. So
Right. Well,
I have
Jenny,
seen them. I just, yeah.
While you're here, do you want to join our guessing game? We've got a guest about to join us.
Okay.
And let's before I introduce who it is, we'll have a guess who it is. So I've just added him to the chat there. Any ideas? We'll start with Trent. Any
That's
guesses?
Jodi.
Jodi.
Yeah,
It's gotta be
Jodi.
It better be Jodi.
Look how fast it's moving. All right, I'm taking kids. Bye.
Well, the mystery didn't last very long.
Oh, well, you guys got it too quickly, didn't you?
It was too easy. How
Hey,
you doing, man?
everybody. Oh, I'm good. Just doing life, watching Lego Masters, enjoying it. So
Yeah.
can't be complaining too much.
So, pretty pumped to have you as a cameo this year.
I was pumped. I thought running would be such a big thing for me in my life, let alone on television. So yeah, it was just odd. It was awesome though.
Yeah, there's a lot of people watching who are very excited to be seeing you, so that's fun. What did you think of last night's episode? Whose build was your favorite?
Well, it was Andrew and Damian's. It was just so finished. It was a finished product. Like you could buy that from a shelf, and I probably would. Trent, I gotta say, your wings needed to be put together.
Yep. I think it probably would have photographed better with the wings together.
Yeah.
But it was one of these features that we made a call to have that X shape. And yeah, I think in hindsight, you're spot on, Jodi.
Yeah, I totally know where you were coming from with it. But being a massive Star Wars fan, I'm on here.
Andrew, do you want to? Whoops, sorry. Yeah, Andrew, we actually haven't talked about Trent's build. You can bring it up on the screen.
Oh no, don't worry. I've got it here. We can get into it. Yeah. Let's begin.
We've got Flash Jodi in now, so we can have 4 people judging Trent.
Yeah.
And Trent, you've just got a very harsh judge. I'm going to be honest.
Oh, look, I actually loved what Brickman said. Made a lot of sense in terms of what a typical Rebel fighter would be like and their constraints. But yeah, and it made for an interesting career decision for me, being in working in budgets and making sure things can't come in on budget. As an accountant, I was devastated to learn that I'd gone over budget on this build.
It's still awesome though. Like, don't get me wrong. And Brickman was a bit harsh. Like, who cares? They do have some really expensive ships in the Rebellion. Like, it's not all Y-wings that are 500 years old.
Credit where credit's due. I do love the explosion though, like the popcorn ice cream stack that you've got on there.
I wonder where we've seen that before. I wonder where we've seen that technique before.
Yeah, I reckon,
I know, right?
I reckon there's a final build that's pretty sweet with that.
It's been done before.
It may be my fault that those bricks are in the brick pit for you. So
yes, nice work.
Yeah,
all the season 1 contestants have like come out of the brickwork wanting to be credited for everything that's happening on season 2. Those iPads, that was because of us. Those ice creams, yeah, that was us.
No, we just didn't have iPads. I was excited when I found out you had iPads. Although the left wings.
Well, they're still missing, aren't they?
Yeah, I did hear that.
No, the Star Wars BrickPit, as soon as you went in there, they had the wing pieces in every color and even split either side. And we're like, that's fantastic. Can we have those in the normal BrickPit, please?
Nice.
Hang on. Just trying to get the right visuals. Sorry, guys.
that BrickPit was gorgeous.
It was fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, I know, Trent, you told me that you gave Andrew a big hug when you walked into that special Star Wars BrickPit for the first time. Tim, what was your feeling?
I was walking in there, I'm like, this is amazing. These are all like the old sets that like I really wished I picked up when they were on shelves, but Trent has advised me that collecting Star Wars sets is a very slippery slope, and I probably should not. Because for me, like the Star Wars sets that I had growing up, it was only a handful of Star Wars spaceships, which was the original TIE Bomber, which I don't think they've done a remake of that at all. I've got an ARC 170, ARC 170 gunship from the from Revenge of the Sith, and then the LAAT from the Clone Wars, which is the standard airship that they use with the ATTE Walker that drops down as well. They're the only Star Wars ships I've got. And then walking in there, I'm like, oh, do I need a sandcrawler? I think I want a sandcrawler. And then the Razor Crest is coming out this year. I'm like, oh, I need that now too. So it was cool just looking at all these odd sets. And Danny's just like, yeah, that one has wings. That one flies.
That was her inspo. Here's a question for you. Did you get to use the Star Wars BrickPit again, or was it for that build only? Now, I don't know if we're allowed to talk about this just yet because it's a future question and we can't talk about the future.
Yep.
So I guess we'll have to tune into the show tonight and find out. Question for Jodi here. How's Miller?
Yeah, Miller's awesome. Miller's loving life. He's in love. He couldn't be happier, I'd say.
Is he still getting in touch with Caitlin?
Well, he's not allowed to. It's a weird way to phrase it for sure. They are in love, but it is isolation, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
No touching.
Yeah, 2 more days. Tuesday midnight. I think it's all going to be on.
I feel a little sorry for for Miller is like, okay, what's the biggest thing we took away about Lego Masters with you? You got a date. Okay, that's your iconic key thing, and that's all you're known for.
Your one greatest achievement. You got a date.
At least it's a very lovely achievement.
Yeah, no, it is.
Yeah,
she's a
but
lovely-
like, it took him a while to get there.
Aw. He had your support,
Have you-
Jodi. That's what got him there.
That being said, have you seen Miller's mech builds that he's doing at the moment? They are
Yes.
fantastic. They're
I'm
so
the
good.
first one to see Miller's mech builds.
Oh, has anyone got a visual we could put on screen?
Nah. It's on
They're on
Instagram.
Annie, where are you at? How you just checking in with you? Are you still here? So I thought I'd say hi.
Still here, still learning. It's like you guys are speaking a completely different language, but it's very interesting. I'm just
That's
not
okay.
really-
There's going to be a test, just so you know.
Snap.
Oh, there we are.
Yeah.
There we are.
How good are they?
They're
Hang on,
so
let's
cool.
full screen here.
They are really cool.
So the idea behind it is it's like a single man pilot ship, and it's kind of similar to Gundam, is where he takes his inspiration, but it's like I think he wants to do a full series of these little guys, and I think I'm probably going to build one as well, just to steal his
Power
design.
And when he's not doing mech builds, look at that. How sweet.
Is that a ring on her finger? Scandal. Oh my god.
Nah, middle finger.
Oh, sorry. I couldn't see. It was, the white balance was trying to fix itself. Jodi, bit of inside knowledge. You might know, were all the builds in the Star Wars BrickPits, the Brickman's personal collection?
I have no idea where they came from,
idea.
but I would have liked to have snaffled a couple of them. That's for
Yeah,
sure.
no doubt. How big's your Star Wars collection, Tim, of authentic Lego builds?
As far as because thing is, my mum, who lives in South Australia, so I'm in Victoria. My folks are from South Australia. She finds a lot of them at garage sales and op shops. So it's slowly getting bigger, but I haven't interacted with them. So it's apparently I've got a few TIE ships and stuff like that, but I've not seen them at all. They're just she's like, here are the parts. There's this set number that's also stapled to it. I'm like, well, I guess I've got a TIE fighter now, and I guess I've got a light up lightsaber Darth Vader as well. It's just slowly growing. I'm just not there.
What a cool
Right.
mum.
Yeah.
That's the best.
That's awesome.
Get you the mad hookup. That's crazy.
Well, the thing is, Victoria, it's so hard to op shop for that sort of stuff because a lot of people have got their names put down everywhere as soon as Lego goes in because it's such a commodity. But we're talking
You can
about
do
country
that?
South Australia. Apparently,
Yes, yeah. Yeah,
Are
we
they paying
can.
resale price on them?
no, it was usually they'll just be mixed bag of Lego, $5 for a bag, yay big. I'm like, lots of it's Bionicle, which I'm not mad about. I do love Bionicles. But there's just a surprising amount of people who are just tossing out Star Wars Lego. I'm like, oh, I guess we're having that then. Yay.
All right. Quick question for Jodi there. Was Kale real or was he scripted?
As far as I know, he was real, but anything's possible.
He's a real person, right? Hey, I've met him. He is real.
Yeah.
Right?
He's real. I think he's real. I have been to his house. He is a real person.
He's a real person. Trent, I want you to go and find your favorite toy from in your room for me. And we'll go to another question with Jodi. Another question come through here, and I want you to go grab your favorite toy.
Okay.
Go. Jodi, what were you really doing while you were waiting for the Flash Jodi brick to get played?
Oh, it's just training. You got to keep your running up and stuff like that. I'm a full-time student, so that takes up a lot of my time. So I may have had my laptop in the room with me every now and again. I'll just get some study out.
Yeah, well, you're doing TV, aren't you? TV
Yeah,
podcast?
film and TV. Because after being on TV, I was like, I want to do this forever.
Yeah, it's fun,
so
right?
I'm going to find a way.
Annie, did you read any tea leaves prior to the Star Wars episode for any figure out any outcomes?
I didn't read any tea, but I did dig out a whole bunch of my own Star Wars toy collection.
You have Star Wars toys, but you haven't seen the movie?
Yeah, I have a whole massive collection of Star Wars figurines that my mother has been collecting.
Right.
Upstairs in my children's bedroom.
Nice. All right, Trent, how did you go with the mission?
I did. I got it, and there's a big story behind this. I can talk for hours on toys. This is my favorite toy at the moment. Does anyone know what that is?
I do not.
Looks like some type of Cohen the Barbarian.
Yeah, very.
I know
very
what
good.
it is, but you just tell me, and then we'll confirm it. Yeah.
So this is actually Dolph Lundgren as He-Man from the 1987 film. He-Man, like Jodi said, based on Conan, very, very clearly.
I initially thought fucking He-Man.
Now,
Wow.
what makes this toy so special is Mattel had the license, obviously, over He-Man. They created the IP. They did a movie, which was made by Cannon Films. The second to last Cannon film, a film that Cannon Films made before they went bankrupt. And in fact, they ran out of money making He-Man. Mattel put in all the funds, and when it came time for Cannon to chip in, they basically said, "Nope, we're not chipping in." So they had to make, the producer or the director had to make, Gary Goddard had to make the movie on his own steam to shoot the last scene. But Mattel had a falling out with the license holder for the likeness of He-Man. And a couple of years back, a company called Super 7 came in and negotiated to get the rights to do this figure. So it was a figure that we thought we'd never get as toy collectors. Super cool. It's got the likeness for Dolph. It's got the blaster on one side, the knife on the other, and a little dagger there in the boot that he uses in the film to take out a trooper, removable and everything. So that figure for me is just where it's at the moment.
Nice. And second favorite?
Second favorite.
Oh, yeah.
Story.
There you go. What's this one?
Hero. Hero from Masters of the Universe. Again, the Masters of the Universe line ended in about 1987, 98. There were a few stragglers that came in 1998. But this figure was only ever released as a prototype. And again, Super 7 came to the rescue a couple of years back and put this out. All the attention to detail that the original figure was meant to have, including a vac metallized torso, which is where basically they put this shiny substance on the figure. And so that figure, I waited, like a good 30 odd years to get that into the collection. All the original box design, the graphics that were done back in 87 that would come with this figure were all redone and reissued, including the artwork on the back there. So absolute attention to detail by Super 7. And I think you'll find in the back there's a little mini comic that sits behind the figure. And one of the things we did when we started our podcast was point out to the owner of this toy company how that should be inserted into the figure if they ever made one. We managed to have Brian Flynn, who owns Super 7, on our podcast, and thankfully he took our advice and did as we suggested when they put out this figure. So there's a little nod to Toy Power and myself in terms of hopefully getting this as accurate as it was meant to be in the 80s.
Look at you, very influential in the toy world. I noticed over your shoulder in Aladdin, I think it's Jasmine and her tiger as well. That's got me kind of excited.
Right.
I think I had the old Aladdin toy. Oh, and those mutant things. I can't wait to come over to Adelaide and go through your room. Danny,
welcome here, Andrew.
Yes.
Gadget.
Hi, Danny.
Hey.
How are you?
Hey, Danny.
Yeah, I'm doing all right. Kids are fed, so Tim's got it easy now.
No, good. What was your favorite Star Wars movie? Let's start from the top.
Well, the last one I saw was the one with Rey in it, so I guess that's the one I remember. So that one.
That one. And what exactly happened in that movie?
Well, there was a moment where there was a stormtrooper that was like under Rey's trance, and he just like throws the gun at the floor, and I thought that was great, and that's all I remember.
That's not even the most recent one.
Jordy's died. Jordy's lost it. He's out.
Most recent one I've seen, not the most recent released.
Are your kids getting heavily influenced on Star Wars, or a bit too soon for that?
No, they don't need that.
I don't
We have enough hobbits.
How dare you?
Rings is good for small children.
They need it. And there's so many great kids options for introducing them to
No,
Star
look.
Wars.
No, Lord of the Rings is more important because it's closer to D&D, so we need that first. It's the foundation of this whole
Can we
family.
get Tim back?
No.
Danielle, let me see if I can find it. You guys chat amongst yourselves while I try to find the D&D artworks you've been putting up. Are they D&D artworks? Is that correct?
Yes, they are. Yes, they are.
All right, cool.
What, Danny, I've got a question for you. I'm loving your artwork, by the way. It is
Oh, thank
absolutely
you.
incredible. We did talk a little bit about this on offset in the green room, but what's the reason for the no faces?
Mostly, okay, so it's kind of a thing I do. When you have someone's face, it's really, really easy to nitpick it and go, that's not right, that's not right, that's not right. But if you just have kind of the impression of someone's face, which is usually just like the eyebrows, the cheekbones, face shape, it's easier for people to just associate it without nitpicking. And it takes a lot of pressure off me as an artist by just keeping it simplified and just artsy. And it gives it a nice look, and also lets people see themselves as that character if they're into that fantasy realm.
That's really cool.
Yes. It's very cool.
Here we've got. There's
Oh,
Summer.
I love the war goat.
The goat.
How are you making these? Is this Procreate or something else?
So first I hand draw everything. It's just
Yeah.
a simple line work, and then I have this free to use Photoshop app, which is really dodgy, and I just fill it in on that.
Yeah. Very good.
Oh, look at that!
So good. Yeah.
And that's actually Annie's favorite teapot. I messaged her to make sure it was the her favorite one.
Well,
They're all a little bit customized, each person.
matches the wall behind you. Is that
Yep. Black and
all?
white.
Is that all of them? He's done
Yeah,
this.
there's 4 outs at the moment.
I've seen a lot
There's
of
another really good one coming.
studio builds. Is there? Is it a Trent?
No, well, no, but it's got a very nice reference in it to the person, which I think is really nice. What Danny's done, she's really customized them for each character. Like that goat with Summer is there's a particular meaning for that. And
It's
obviously
actually
the
a
teapot with
sister's
Danny.
goat.
Yeah,
So sister's
right.
goat, same markings. I just
Alright.
finished Jen's today, and it is absolutely outstanding. It's my favorite one. I can't wait to release that in a couple of weeks.
Nice. How long does it take you to do each one, would you say?
3-4 days maybe, depends on what it is and how detailed it is. So I actually did Jodi's in just 2 days. It was really quick.
Yeah.
Because I was really keen to do it. I knew exactly what I wanted. But other ones, especially men, they're a lot harder because I'm not very familiar with men's fashion and bodies. So I have to a lot of trial and error.
I'm looking forward to Alex and Jackson's ones, actually.
Ooh.
I just
So
imagine
am I. I haven't started them yet.
big flowing locks of hair everywhere.
Surely Stani's just a big old wizard. He's got the little wizard goatee.
No.
And Jay,
No.
and Jay's a wiggle with a minifig head.
I'll have to look at the D&D books for Wiggles and see what their stats are like.
Get some inspo on that one. What does this mean? How did he make it to Senate without being good? Oh, is that a Star Wars reference?
Well, he planned it, didn't he?
Yeah, what's that?
I think he's just referring to how did Palpatine make it into the Senate. Maybe.
I'm not sure.
He orchestrated
Jar
a
Jar.
war on Tatooine.
Oh, is it Jar
Honestly,
Jar?
like every other politician.
Yeah. Jar Jar just fluked it, even though everyone thought he was the real bad guy.
You reckon he was?
Jar Jar's always the real bad guy.
You reckon he'll ever make an appearance again, Jar Jar?
I can answer the question.
No.
No, you're out of this.
I
Goodbye.
can answer the question.
Then answer the question. Okay, how do you make it to Senate?
So Palpatine orchestrated the war between the Trade Federation and the Republic and the Jedi, and used the emergency powers granted to him by Naboo to gain a higher authority within the actual Senate, And then when he refused to give up emergency powers towards the falling of the Jedi, that's how he used it to basically turn it over into a totalitarian empire.
Nerd! Goodbye.
Danny, your face is amazing.
Annie, can you confirm this?
I can 100% confirm all of that about love, yes.
He's wrong.
I don't want to Google it in case he's
Got
wrong
it
and he
wrong.
explains why he's right.
He got it wrong.
Anything else anyone wants to chat about before we wrap up? It's coming close to 7 o'clock.
Have we seen all the builds?
Have we seen all the builds?
I feel
Was
like
that
we
all?
haven't.
There was 4, right?
5.
No, just
I think we
5.
saw them all.
Yeah, there's 5. 2 light,
Oh.
2 dark, 1 grey.
Yeah.
Yes.
Whose did I miss?
We did mine briefly at the end, mine and Josh's. I think we did them all. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Do we think we did
Oh,
them all?
Underwater episode tonight.
I can't
so-
show you.
Yes.
Tune in
Half
at
an hour.
7:30.
Tune in. Yeah,
Half
it's
an
not far away. But does Lego float or sink, or does it depend on the specific piece?
Ooh.
No,
All right.
you know?
People watching, comment. Let us know what you think. Annie, you didn't get to participate in this episode, and Jodi, what do you think? Float or sink?
Depends on the buoyancy of the piece, doesn't it? And if it's got air bubbles in it, or I reckon animals float, but others might sink.
Yeah, it's totally dependent on the parts that you use, because if you use like a lot of, well, no, it's just going to fill up with water anyway. So initially it'll try to float, but it'll sink eventually.
My kids have been in the kitchen all afternoon putting Lego in buckets of water. It's extremely frustrating. My kitchen is extremely wet.
This
But
is why you
they've
don't
been
send
having
your
a great
Lego.
time.
They're having a
That's
great
why you
Yeah.
don't have kids.
I think that's I don't know who that question's for and what it means. Oh, it's about the drawing. It's about the drawing.
Oh,
Oh, the drawing.
Out of context. That's very stupid.
I seemed inappropriate for a second. No. I have started creating a concept for Jackson today. I haven't started on Alex, and that's the only team other than mine and Tim's that I haven't come up with concepts for. So everyone else has a concept. It's that Alex, Jackson, Tim, and I.
Are you okay, Annie?
Yes, I know.
Great.
Every time Trent laughs, you can't help but laugh with him.
Alex is just, he goes to the coffee shop to get his coffee in the morning, and he is swarmed by mums. He's just he's a and if you watch the Viewer's Choice, right? They win every night on the Wonder White Viewer's Choice. Just think about who is buying bread at the supermarket and casting those votes, and I reckon you get a pretty good indication of how popular those boys are.
They are. I think they're a bit of a crowd favorite, and they're a lot of fun in tonight's episode. Just a bit of a spoiler there. It's a good one for them tonight.
And that means it's a good one for all Australian women. Yeah,
it's true. I mean, I think they
Annie
need it
agrees.
coming off Trent Week.
I very much agree. Yep.
It's the perfect tonic for too much nerd rage.
They're balancing out the
Yeah.
What does this mean? Legoland designer guy Bagley made Lego ships that actually float and are remote controlled. Wow.
I remember actually having a Lego ship as a kid that would float. It was made, there was a blue one. It was like a cargo ship, and it was made of 3 base plates that you'd essentially clip together and a little black tugboat. And they had these metal weights that you would use clutch power to attach to the bottom, and you were meant to take them into the bathtub to play with. And that's how we played with those ships. Yeah, in the bath.
That'll still be at my parents' house. Yeah, I had that. Yeah. How good was that?
They were cool, but no other Lego ships really float. So Guy Bagley's done a great job.
One more Lego base I've got one more Lego boat that does float. It's a white hollow thing, but I think it was part of a creator set.
Well, then there's also the little Technic yacht.
Yep.
And there are a lot of Lego boats that are made to float, but it's just like It depends on how you build it. This challenge could totally be done tonight because I haven't seen it. You could be making boats for all we really know. Although there is a build that goes underwater, definitely.
Yeah.
I'd say that they'd anyway.
But do you want to I don't think it's the kind of challenge from what I've seen in the previews. You're not wanting.
It doesn't seem like they're building boats.
You don't want the whole thing to float.
Didn't we build a boat in the first episode?
Yeah,
Yes.
you got the gift. You had to do the gift.
So yeah, we did 2 towers. Maybe we do 2 boats.
I just want to see all the contestants in scuba gear physically building underwater rather than having to build something in there.
That would be brilliant.
Jodi, you're so popular with all the questions, Jodi. I didn't realize that this would fire up so much.
My job with Brickman is great. It's still going, so it hasn't been affected by isolation, thankfully. Apparently building Lego's essential.
Yeah, good
I agree.
Agree.
Well, that's kind of a good question.
Tim just heard that.
That's a good question for everyone else. If you were to get a job doing something with Lego, what would it be, Annie?
Getting a job with Lego?
Yeah, a job doing something with Lego, what would it be?
I like to design sets rather than build them.
Oh, yeah.
So you have to move the villain if you're going to be a Lego designer. So that could be fun at some point.
Brickmaster Amy, Danny?
I kind of sort of have a small job lined up coming at me, actually. It's teaching with Lego.
Oh, there we go. That's perfect.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very cool. I get to do workshops in schools over a term when isolation's over, hopefully. So, yeah, really cool.
Getting closer. And Trent?
I'd love to go over to Billund and work in that archive where they keep, one of every set ever made from Lego, and they've got that room with the doors you move. And I'd love to just be the archivist for all those old Lego sets.
God, how amazing would that be? Yeah, that would be the best room. All right, guys. Well, pretty broad question, Nick, but we're all good. Thanks for asking. But we might wrap it up. Danny and Trent, you've got to go get ready for tonight's episode. You guys are on in just under half an hour. You've got to do your makeup, your hair, and go find out what you're building, head into the BrickPit, do all that stuff. So I'll let you guys go.
Thanks, Andrew. Thanks for having us.
No worries. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
See you guys.
After tonight's episode as well, come to my channel, everyone who's watching. We've got an interview with the eliminated contestants. So make sure you watch the episode to find out who we'll be talking to.
Awesome.
Okay.
All right. See you all. Thanks for coming.
Good night.
Hey, thanks for having us.
Jodi left as quick as he could. All right, bye.
Well, they don't call him Flash Jordie for nothing.
I know.